Good afternoon. I'm Madeline Liebrecht, reporting for World History News, where we tell the untold stories of famous historical figures. We will discuss Sacagawea's journey with Lewis and Clark, some of her time in captivity, and glimpses of her childhood. Her parents were called Smoke Lodge and Otter Woman. Her father was the Shoshone chief. We know that she was born in 1788, and her tribe was nomadic, so she was used to traveling from a young age. When she was 12, her tribe journeyed to Three Forks, Montana. As Sacagawea, her mother, her sister, and other women in the Shoshone, a Gainica tribe, were picking chokecherries, an enemy tribe approached and captured the women. Sacagawea's family taught her to always watch the land and landmarks so she would not get lost. So when they arrived at her captor's village, she had made many mental notes along the way. She was later sold to a French-Canadian named Charbonneau. She later married him and was pregnant by the time she met Lewis and Clark. She joined their quest together with her husband. Being pregnant on the journey was like a symbol of peace to the Indian tribes they met and made them seem non-threatening. After crossing the Continental Divide, Sacagawea found her brother, Camoite, who was now the chief. They were overjoyed to be reunited, but Sacagawea knew that she must continue on her journey. Traveled on. They ran out of food to eat. All they had left was candle wax. Sacagawea dug until she finally found roots good enough to eat. This was not the only time she saved their lives. Once, on their journey, their boat was capsized. Sacagawea dove under the water and recovered many important materials and supplies. She even recovered the journals of Lewis and Clark that now tell us the stories and the incredible journey that they shared. An exclusive interview with Mr. Steve Stark, also known as Mr. History.
One of the problems with Sacagawea is that we don't know much about her.
Lewis and Clark really call her Sacagawea, or was that too foreign of a name for them?
They had a hard time pronouncing Sacagawea, which was given to her anyway, probably by the tribe that captured her out there near the Rocky Mountains, and that they met later on. So we don't even know her real name from history, but we know she was called Sacagawea and that Lewis and Clark had a hard time pronouncing it. Lewis himself referred to her, I think, as the Indian girl or the Indian woman. Clark had a particular name for her. He called her Janie, which I think is so cute that he called Sacagawea Janie.
Stark, what happened to Sacagawea? How did she die?
We do not know even how she died. There are two stories about how she died, and one comes from the Western Native people, that she lived a long life, but the story that most people believe is that she died very early in life, after she brought her little boy, Jean-Baptiste Pomp, along on the trip with them. She went with her husband, Charbonneau, kind of a ne'er-do-well trapper, and she ended up, I think, separating from him. And by that time, she had had a little girl named Lizette. We do not know what happened to Lizette. So when the Sacagawea story is so sad in that we don't know much about her, but it's happy in knowing that Sacagawea was considered so important to that whole journey, the core of discovery by Lewis and Clark and their men. They respected her hard work, and very often she just worked harder, or as hard as any of the men on the core of discovery.
Thank you, Mr. Stark, for your time and for your valuable knowledge. Until next time.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. This is Madeline Liebrecht, reporting for World History News. Let's make it a great world. Or not. The choice is always ours.